Hello and welcome to the show. I've got David Languli and I'm Margaret Katzcan, and we are with Leadership Deep Dive. Welcome, David.
Welcome to the show. We got fun and games.
We've got fun and games. Yeah, today we're going to talk about superpowers, leadership superpowers, and we're going to get to one specifically. But I'd love to tee up this conversation, David, by sharing that I was helping a client, which I don't normally do, but I did help this client do some job interviews. She's looking to fill a fundraising position, and she needed a team to help her. And we asked the question of each candidate, what's your superpower and how might it be on the team? And everybody loved this question. Everybody thought this was a great question. And some people entered with an aspirational to a different conversation about being weird.
Yeah, why weirdness is one of your leadership superpowers. Like that's weird just saying that, Margaret.
It does feel weird. I think we're going to have to talk ourselves either in or out of this. I'm not 100% convinced yet.
Okay. Well, I like that. Well, this kind of started with a post that you made on LinkedIn about your partner Kevin commenting or remarking on one of the food choice that you enjoy.
Yes, I did. I wrote a very short, quirky post because sometimes there's only so much fundraising I can write about on LinkedIn, and I have to get a little weird, David. And anyway, I wrote about that I love eating cold leftover half hamburgers. And yes, Kevin has more than once told me that he thinks that's really weird. So I put it out to the internet, like, is that weird? How weird is that? And I've gotten a lot of people chiming in.
Yeah. All right. Well, weird. This word weird has a very weird connotation to it now. Has a negative. Has become like a negative thing, and so in the leadership program that you and I participated in, year long. There's like a typing system. We've talked about this before. We would call this eccentricity, but even there, people don't. I think they understand weird more than eccentricity. But I can tell you, in my tribe, when this quality or leadership quality called eccentricity was introduced, they labeled it as weird and didn't want to be like that.
Yeah. Well, and I have as a subtype, it wasn't my main thing, but I have both eccentric and goofy. And I was like, wait, what? And I grew up in a family that was, very intellectual and very cerebral. And I thought, no, I can't.
Yes,
nobody will ever take me seriously if I am.
Well, yeah, I think that's a fear. A fear that's a good. I think you're putting the finger on one reason why folks don't embrace their weirdness is the fear that you'll be cast out. You want to be part of. It's one of the fundamental fears that we have is like not being part, because that's a survival thing. Being part of a group.
Yeah.
And
getting voted off the island.
Yes. Banished. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's a concern. Less so these days in modern society. And yet still, I noticed that a lot of folks don't want to be vulnerable and reveal and embrace their weirdness or eccentricity, as we might say, or quirkiness. You used that word earlier.
Yeah. But here's the thing, I think that most of us came to understand during the course of the leadership program, which is if we are a little eccentric, a little goofy, a little quirky by nature, like it just is who we are. Mm-hmm. And we try to cover that up and get really serious.
Right.
First of all, it makes the space weird, right? Like
Yes, it makes the space weird.
It creates awkwardness when we put ourselves in like a too small outfit,
Yeah.
as a leader.
Yeah, I like that word awkwardness because I think there is some association. Like if I'm weird, I'll be perceived as awkward, or I might create some awkwardness in the space.
Yeah.
But what you said is exactly right. When you try to cover it up,
It
then
100% creates awkwardness in the space.
it does. It does. It does. So on this topic of food, I have a very weird diet because of some of my health issues that I
Can
can get.
concur. David does have some unusual ways to eat. Yeah.
See, that would be a very nice way of saying weird, unusual. It's like that would be a euphemism for weirdness, I must say.
Well, nicer than saying you're a weirdo, right? I wouldn't say
I
that.
totally embrace my weirdo, my inner weirdo, and that's what we're encouraging you to consider in this conversation. And so, as we just
Take
before we got on,
for your inner weirdo, take a stand for your
own it, yeah. And celebrate it.
Yes,
celebrate it. Like before we got on the show, I was having lunch, and you asked me like on LinkedIn, like, what's one of your weird foods? And I said octopus. But of course now everybody, like, it's a delicacy and now everybody eats it. But I grew up eating octopus and everyone thought I was weird as a kid eating octopus,
Yeah.
Now it's fashionable. So see, there it is, right?
Right. Well, that's a great perspective. Like sometimes you're weird is you're just before your time,
Exactly. So I was having one of my delicacies here, one of my weird foods that I can eat. So I eat a lot of cabbage, first of all, because it's one vegetable that I can consume in large, copious amounts, and it's got low oxalate. So I eat a lot of red cabbage and yellow. And not many people eat cabbage these days. I'm one of the people who does. And then I just I kind of shred that and chop it up and mix it with sardines. Exactly. Cringy. There it is. Yeah. But it works for me. It works for me. And then, of course, on top of that weirdness, I like to have Diet Coke with half and half in it.
Well, that's like an old egg cream kind of, or with your float, right?
Yes,
like
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how you'd get there.
But my wife thinks that's totally weird.
There aren't too many people who walk around the house with a half and half and Diet Coke.
Exactly. So I'm fond of saying, like, I think I knew my weirdness early on. I knew I had some non-conforming personality issues. Yeah. And I used to say to people, and as a normalizing factor, it's like everybody's weird in his or her own way.
Yeah. I feel like one of the ways in which a little weirdness is a superpower is when we give ourselves permission to crack a joke when somebody doesn't expect it, or to offer a take on something that's, again, comes maybe a little bit from left field, but it opens up conversations. It gives other people permission. Right. It can invite playful into the space, and it invites permission for other people to, just to relax a little bit.
Yeah, I think about some of the comedians that are eccentric, and they're quite delightful. They're quite funny. And so, again, I think this gets conflated. You can bring humor, I think. More and more these days, I was always a very serious person, but more and more these days, I like to bring humor. And the sort of quirkier, weirder it is, the more humorous it is for me. Like when I can see the absurdity of a situation and its weirdness, I enjoy that because otherwise it would be very difficult living in this world for me.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes really laughing, being able to laugh. It's like, thank God I can still laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what else is there to say about this? This is like a difficult topic for leaders to embrace, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to just share, and this goes back to something that I was saying earlier, but it's just an example is, I remember the leaders of my program kind of naming a couple of famous people who are very eccentric. And I'm sure there was a long list, but one of them was Robin Williams.
Yes. Oof.
And they were really talking about like how resonant he is when he's, being totally off the wall. But in contrast to, like, if he stood up on stage in a suit and tried to be serious, you'd be like, who is this? Like you wouldn't feel like you knew him. And so I do
Right.
think that, when we try to cover up or suppress, whether your superpower really is weirdness or whether it's something different, when we try to get very serious and we get very attached to caring what other people think of us, you never really shine. You
Yeah.
get off, you seem off to other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. My example that I love, and I've shared with you several times, is uh, what is the actor's name? It's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Oh,
Factory.
Gene Hackman,
No,
right?
Gene
Gene
Wilder.
Wilder, I mean, not
Yeah,
Gene
Gene
Hackman. Gene
Wilder. Right.
Wilder, yeah. The other
He is
Gene, yes.
so, yeah, another Gene Wilder. He is so
Yeah.
wildly eccentric in that movie, but I mean, he's wearing a purple velvet coat with long tails and a top hat, and I mean, and throughout the film, but this was who his hair would be all over the place, and um, and his wife Gilda Radner in real life was also wildly eccentric on Saturday Night Live. So there's something very if you've never seen that film, the original from the late '60s, I think it is, with Gene Wilder playing Willy Wonka, his performance is brilliant, and he's full on eccentric and weird in that, and a little bit scary at times. And yet there's a warmth to him that when you see that come through the weirdness, it makes it even that much more delicious, to use a chocolate word.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, because I do think another superpower of a little weirdness is it does create warmth. Right?
Yeah.
There's an invitation. There's an invitation in there.
I actually think it creates safety also when you, as let's say the leader of a team, can let down your guard and let a little bit of your weirdness come out, which is very hard to do.
For a lot of people.
It will create safety for others on your team to let down their guard a little bit. Of course, the fear is that somehow, you're going to be criticized, or you're going to be mocked, or they're going to talk about you behind your back.
Or that your joke is going to fall flat.
Or it will fall flat, or they won't get it. And yet this eccentric energy, weird energy, actually, a lot of creativity lives in that space, I think.
Very true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And in my leadership group, we had quite a few people who were typed as eccentric, and most of them, they were hallelujah. Like they had finally been given permission to just let it rip. And they had spent so much of their lives feeling like they were trying to contain themselves, that the world was trying to make them smaller. And they felt this vast relief at just being able to show up.
Show up fully on type, and allowing their eccentricity to come out, and having experienced some negative feedback from that. There are environments where you choose not to allow that part of yourself shine through. I understand that. So being skillful in how you let this out and where you let it out is important. But I do think you can let it out in small doses initially and test the waters instead of going full on eccentric like right away.
Not need to, be Robin Williams to start with in a meeting. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
just a little.
Yeah. I want to applaud you for. I want to acknowledge you, Margaret, for the courage it took for you to write your post on LinkedIn. I didn't really acknowledge you for that. It really did take courage. I see it because that's revealing. Like you're half of a not frozen but refrigerated hamburger, and explaining, did you like that? And you put it out in the world, and you said this is a little weird, and my boyfriend thinks this is weird, but I like it. So I want to acknowledge you for that. It does take courage, like on a social media, to put that out. So it does take courage, and so well done.
Thank you. Thanks.
I know you probably didn't think it took. I mean, we have been, you and I have more training than most people around this, and we're more willing to put ourselves out there. But it still takes courage to put it out there, pull the trigger.
Okay, I'm weird. I will say I've gotten a very high number of profile views. So I'm not sure exactly what people are looking for.
They're looking for the weird woman who likes cold hamburgers leftovers.
Where's this person? Yeah.
But that's kind of the reaction, though, right? There's a little bit of that in the back of our minds. Like, are they looking because they think something's wrong with me, or are they looking because they were touched, moved, and inspired?
I can't answer that, but it could be either. But that's okay. I mean, it was just meant to be a lark, and and happy to have started a fun conversation on social media. Yeah,
exactly. No, I appreciate you putting it out there, and it is a launching point for this conversation. So, is there anything else to say to our friends who might have like an inclination to let a little bit of their weirdness, food choices, or to let more of that out? What would you invite them to do?
Just circling back to the idea of having asked this question in an interview process, it's a really beautiful place to contemplate. Like, we all have these kind of superpowers that we can bring to a team, that we can contribute. And if yours is weirdness or being a little eccentric, how might you use it to contribute to a team? And if yours is something different, like, what is your superpower?
Okay. Well, I think we'll leave it there. And let me add a little something to that. If you're going to do this exercise and you don't think weirdness is one of your superpowers, and as Margaret is inviting you to explore, try to like start writing things down, and write at least 20 down and really dig 10 to 20. All right.
That's a big challenge because for a lot of people.
I know it's a big challenge, because here's the reason why I'm framing it that way is that the first thing's often, I'm organized, and I've got integrity, and and these are all very good qualities, but we're inviting you to dig deeper than that.
Right. What's something that's special about you? Yeah. Or what are 20 things that are special?
Or 20 things. By the way, you'll have that list, and 10 to 20 leadership superpowers, but dig deeper than the usual things that are all very good qualities to have. But try to dig deep here and see what you find out about yourself.
Absolutely. I love that.
All right.
There in the comments, if you know what your superpower is, we'd love to.
Put it in and if it's hey, look, this is going out on LinkedIn Live, and you'll have an opportunity to put comments in there. And if you're willing to sort of take a little step on the wild side, Lou Reed, and that song's very, very eccentric and weird. So do, put it in the comments. See, there's my eccentricity coming out.
Do-do,
Do,
do-do.
do,
Yeah.
do, 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 do. There we
Okay.
go. We're being eccentric. All right, guys, that's it. That's it for this time. Go put it into practice.
Go be a little weird.